New information is out on Charlie Kirk's assassin, including a text message confession. The UK has massive protests against immigration. Elon Musk tells Britain that if they don't fight for their values, they'll die. Pam Bondi has decided to play a gotcha card, promising to target people for hate speech. Destiny said that Republicans need to be afraid of getting killed, so they'll turn the temperature down. And in financial news, a Fed cut is expected today, and the S&P just hit an all-time high.
Let's jump into what we do know, okay? The text message exchange from Tyler Robinson and what is alleged his transsexual roommate have been released. There has been some split feelings about these text messages simply because it sounds like he's being very on the nose. But I will read it for you guys. I'll let you guys do it for you. You want to do a table read with me, Tom?
Let's do it.
Do you want to be Robinson or the roommate?
I'll be Robinson.
Okay, I got you.
All right, here we go. Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard.
You're joking, right?
I am still okay, my love. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you. By the way, if you zoom in a little bit, I won't read so slowly.
You weren't the only one who did it, right?
I am. I'm sorry.
I thought they caught the person.
No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I'd planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering.
Why?
Why did I do it? I had had enough of his hatred. Some hate can be negotiated. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it.
How long have you been planning this?
A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I'm wishing I'd circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. Sorry, this is an aside. Not about me killing somebody, just worried what I do with Grandpa's rifle. IDEC, I don't even know. If it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how he was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge, ooh, on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2K scope. Delete this exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard mega. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent.
Scene.
All right. As a screenwriter, this is not at all how people talk. I know nothing about this. Look, it is entirely possible that this is all just completely above board and 100% legit, but this is the weirdest way to communicate I've ever seen in my life. If a young writer gave me dialogue like that to read, I would say, no one talks like this. Also, I would say, listen, you've got a character. He just shot somebody. He's going to be frantic. There's going to be an urgency to the way that he communicates. And this is like somebody who's completely calm, has all the time in the world. It's just so jarring. So I don't know what to make of it. I put this in the spreadsheet as like, join me in wearing a tinfoil hat. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, and there was a tweet that you brought up that actually kind of broke it down. This is by Rothbard, 1917.
Yeah, when I saw this, I felt so seen. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm not the only one.
I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I have a really hard time believing in a short text exchange the alleged shooter makes his confession, confirms location of the weapon, confirms the type of weapon, confirms it's wrapped in a towel, confirms his motive, exonerates the decoy, admits the bullying engravings, confirms the wardrobe change, confirms how long he's been planning it, disclose the existence and location of a now destroyed pre-written confession note, randomly tells his boyfriend that his dad is diehard MAGA as if it wouldn't already have known given the nature of their relationship. That's a big one for me.
I know.
And is worried about his dad, grandpa, being upset if he doesn't come home with the rifle, not the fact that he just used it to commit a murder. Not to mention a 20-year-old terminally online Zoomer using phrases like squad car, drop point, swept the area, my vehicle, till I died of old age, my old man. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. Also, like, I worry about you, love, seemed a little bit like ode to. I don't... Like,
that one didn't, I guess,
you,
set
my
my teeth on edge. Like, I could see talking to Lisa like that. I still do talk to Lisa like that, in fairness. So, I don't know. That didn't bother me. But the rest was so weird. Just from a flow of conversation, it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. I don't know, man. Listen, somebody, let me not be unclear. Tyler shot Charlie Kirk. So this is already weird. This is already hyper dramatic. And of course, things are going to spiral out of control. People are going to have every conspiracy under the sun. So I certainly don't want to go that far. But the text exchange is just bizarre. Even if all I've just learned is that to be in the mind state to murder somebody, like you've got to put your head in the most bizarre place ever. And so you are no longer engaging with the stimulus around you in a normal way. Fine. I don't need to say that, like the tweet that we just read suggests, that there's something fishy here. It's just so bizarre. Perfectly happy to take this as a revelation that he was distressingly calm at a time where he should have been heightened and wasn't. And that ends up being the takeaway. But woof. Very weird.
Yeah, and Scott Jennings tweeted after this that first, the left tried to convince us the man who killed Charlie Kirk was a conservative. That failed. Now we're seeing multiple attempts to frame this as some transgender love story. Enough. It's time to accept the glaring truth that is staring at you right in the face.
By the way, is that Montel Williams?
That is Montel Williams.
Wow.
Talking about a love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship, and somebody was disparaging the person that he loved.
Pause it for a
He
second.
sat on that.
If anyone has ever wondered what I mean by frame of reference, this is what I mean by frame of reference. Like, be charitable for a second to Montel Williams, and that he is not trying to fake people out, that he's really telling you what he believes. The way that the information is going into his brain in a way, and it's fractaling off of all the things that he believes, and it doesn't matter what you look at, it matters what you see and all that stuff. And what outputs is this extremely charitable interpretation of, this is a lovelorn kid and he feels judged, and the person that he loves the most in the world is being attacked, and so he waited until they said trans, and he just felt so triggered that he had to kill him. What? The way that this information hits my brain is so fucking different that I'm like, yo, this is where, honestly, I am utterly convinced that my way of interpreting this is the right way, but this is a potent reminder that we all see the world so differently. It is crazy that when I say this is a Rorschach test, this is what I'm talking about. Now, there are going to be some people that are just truly bad faith actors. They are just trying to manipulate you. James Burnham, they are trying to control the narrative. They want you, they know they can manipulate what you see. And so they're going to like redefine things. They're going to point you in a different direction. And they know some people are going to follow them along. But even if you just go, this is how the human mind works. We're going to watch two worldviews right now collide. So yeah, we'll play it on.
For 30 minutes before he took the shot. Why did he wait until the first word trans came up? Then he took the shot.
You think he heard it? He could hear it?
I think he could hear it. I think he also, I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally.
Guys.
Ack. So I'm not saying 100%, like you 100% have emotion. Like this kid is allowed his thinking to derange to the point where he really believes it is okay to kill somebody for what they think, not what they do, what they think. You're encountering my worldview. But holy Jesus, like if you are trying to say, oh, maybe this isn't as bad as we think. This is like the Luigi Mangione stuff. That to me is also just disgusting in the highest order. If you have allowed yourself to dehumanize other people to the point where you're like, yeah, but I don't like what he was doing from a business perspective, and he's causing people to die through his policies, and so literally murder him on the street. Wow. Crazy.
The evidence here is overwhelming. He said, Charlie Kirk, I can't stand this hate anymore. I'm going to take him out. The testimony from him and the statements of his family, he had become more left-wing. He etched the statements that are made by the left about Republicans and conservatives and Charlie Kirk fascist on the bullet casings.
He made a joke about it in his last text.
Well, it doesn't sound like a joke to me because someone's dead and about to be buried.
Well,
so it doesn't sound like a joke to me.
I
So I'm just telling you, there is an effort. There was an effort all weekend long on the left to try to make this guy sound like he was a conservative. That failed. That was passed around all over the weekend. That has now failed. The evidence has now come out. He was motivated by hate. He was motivated by left-wing radicalism. He got mixed up with some trans ideology in his life. We'll learn more about that, I'm sure, when more evidence and testimony comes out. We are looking around the edges of this for something other than what's staring us in the face. Left-wing radicalism got this kid. He went up to a roof and he murdered our friend, and that's what happened.
I actually think Scott Jennings' breakdown of that is accurate. Left-wing radicalism seems to be early days. Maybe more will come out. But by the telling that we have right now, that is perfectly plausible. This kid grew up in a mega household, became radicalized when he went to college on left-wing trans ideology, and decides this guy has to go. That read makes perfect sense to me. Where I start derailing on the right is that they cannot see that Charlie they're either using Charlie as cover to now start doing the same thing in the opposite direction, or they can't see that Charlie's put them so deeply in their emotions that now it just feels completely justified to start saying the same thing to other people. And we're going to show a clip later, or a tweet, I think it was, where Elon just straight says the left is evil. And it's like, that is exactly the same as calling Trump Hitler. And if you get the entire right just droning on now for years that the left is evil, like they're all radicalized, you can't negotiate with them, which is things that were coming out of J.D. Vance's mouth, it's going to have the same effect. So it's like a little self-awareness, please, boys and girls, so that somebody can pump the brakes on this. All right, we got the J.D. Vance clip pulled up. Let's hit it.
There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree. Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation...
Before we get into the NGO stuff. So the NGO stuff I think is really powerful. I just did an interview with Mike Benz. Shout out to Drew for locking that down. Incredible. Mike Benz's work is fascinating. Early days, I need to find people that challenge him directly to make sure that I'm not latching onto one frame of reference, one mental map. But he has so much internal logic, and it really does point to NGOs being wildly problematic. We'll set that aside for now. So getting into what J.D. Vance is saying here. Now, the fascinating thing for me is that J.D. Vance is right. You can't unify with people that are unhinged, deranged, running up to you, screaming at your kids. You know, like that's somebody that you can't reason with. My beef is that if you now start making blanket statements about the left is evil, the left is impossible, we can't unify with them, now you're just ratcheting up the rhetoric of left versus right. It's politically expedient, but it sacrifices the country in the long term. And man, I will just invite everybody, if you can hear my voice right now, please start benchmarking us off of China. China is your real threat. And if we tear ourselves apart from the inside, we leave ourselves vulnerable to being overtaken, even just economically, by China. And so we don't have our eyes on the right prize. And if I'm like in China Chinese right now, I am celebrating. This is awesome. And I'm just like, yeah, cool. Our biggest global competitor, it has a problem. And so we're going to be able to leverage that to run the table. And great, we'll be in a position of power. And so I think people do not have an accurate mental map of global politics. They don't have an accurate mental map of what it means for America to fall. And so people are wasting time. Not even wasting time. They're playing a hyper dangerous game of weaken America from the inside, thinking that nothing bad is going to happen from the outside. It's completely wild. So, yeah, boys and girls, as certainly we as a community march forward, obviously you've heard me talk about this endlessly, and I will continue to talk about it more and more and more. There will be regional moments where it seems like it's wise to take our eyes off of us on the global stage with China. That is eternally unwise. We need to understand what is the outcome that we want with China. What does coexistence with China look like? What does holding firm in our sphere of influence? Because I think we've already lost in terms of the unipolar global dominance that we had. I think that game is over. And so now it just becomes a question of how far are we willing to let ourselves slide down? And when we reinforce the left versus right, when we're focused on that, when we get sucked into all of the ideology, when we watch the division inside of America just ramp up, you need to think of that as like, okay, we are a prize fighter and we're sitting on the couch, we're eating a bunch of nachos, yelling at our spouse, drinking a bunch of beer. And it's like, and then in China, it's like they're training. They are lean, mean, fighting machine. So yeah, I think it's going to be hard for me to get people to step back and view this thing from 30,000 feet and really look at the international politics of it all. But this is how empires fall. And so it is just accelerating, man. It's insane. Right. Yes, Cody, the fourth turning.
The groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years. I am desperate for our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it with people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country.
And then Elon retweeted that saying unity is impossible with evil fanatics who celebrate murder.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah. Now, if they could say, listen, this is a very small number of people on the left. I do not blanket statement this across the aisle. We need to work together to create a pro-America, positive, solid America, good for all Americans agenda. I would have less beef with it, but that definitely is not the rhetoric. The rhetoric is sort of just across the board. Bad mojo. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but first, I want you to picture this. You walk into your kitchen and open your freezer, and instead of empty shelves and random leftovers, you see rows of premium cuts stacked like treasures. Filet mignon, wild-caught salmon, grass-fed beef. When your freezer is stocked with premium protein, you are always just one step away from an incredible meal. ButcherBox made this possible for me, and now they're making it possible for you. I worked with them to create the Bilyeu box, but here's where I may have gotten a little carried away during my negotiations. I demanded free bacon for life, and somehow they actually said yes. So you guys get my curated selection as your first box, plus bacon showing up forever. After the first box, you unlock 80 premium products to customize however you want. Get the Bilyeu box plus free bacon for life and $20 off. Just go right now to butcherbox.com/impact and use code IMPACT. And now let's get back to the show. That's the
Oh,
plan.
right. Let's head over to the UK and talk about that Tommy Robinson protest.
Let's go, Tommy.
This was kind of like a promo video they dropped. Do this like this pan, like it's still going. It's still going.
Dude.
It's still going.
That's wild
It's
that they
still
try to
going.
call that 120. Jesus.
It's still going. Like that's smacked, yo.
Oh,
And I don't even bang with Tommy Robinson like that, but you can't like. It's not like Trump had 4 chairs and try to say it's the biggest crowd ever. Like that's he packed that thing out.
that is wild.
Yeah, and
That
then I
is
have the
wild.
Elon quote that he said that they had him on the jumbotron during the protest.
Violence is going to come to you. You will have no choice. You're in a fundamental situation here where whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die.
You either fight back or you die. Somebody should send this to Matt Walsh so he could get fired from his company.
Yeah. This is where we get into, again, if somebody wanted to use my own words against me, while I think Elon was strangely performative in this, and I wouldn't focus people on the like fight or die thing, but I will say values is where you have to make a stand. Yeah. So anyway, be careful with your immigration policy, everybody. And I mean, everybody around the world, just be careful with your immigration policy. Immigration is a values vote. And if you're not careful with that, you're going to have a problem. And so we're seeing it play out all over Europe. It's really, really crazy.
And that was the purpose, because I got mixed reviews on whether it was anti-immigration or free speech, but I feel like it was immigration and not like a free speech.
What he was talking about there in that moment was very specifically about anti-immigration.
Got it. Okay.
But when you play the longer thing, he talks about both. So he talks about free speech. It might have been from him that I heard the 30 people a day stat. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember clearly. But yeah, they talked about both.
Yeah. I know immigration is kind of your hill to die on. You just did some international travel with the family and kind of coming back, you've seen the collision of values kind of up close. Do you think the UK is really like on a timeline where like
UK is really on a timeline.
you and Lisa's favorite spot is now all Muslimed out and it's just a bunch of dudes in black?
It's not like that.
hijab, but
And
like-
we weren't in England. We were in other parts of Europe. But this is from a what did I see on the ground and witness? In Italy, my big takeaway was a collision of values between me and Italians, not whatever collision Italians have within, like if they've got a Muslim problem.
Got it. Okay.
That's a totally different question. So from a specific this trip, what was my conclusion? It was they used to do cool shit. They don't do cool shit anymore, and you can feel it. And so as an American, I hated that. And at the same time, I was like, oh, I get it, because like everybody here is like super chill. And so as a place to go on vacation and have like some coffee and get a nice pizza, it was dope. Are those the trade-offs that I want to make? Absolutely not. Is that my value system? Aggressively not. But like everybody should Italy should be able to run Italy the way they want to run Italy. Like I'm not going to go there and impose my values. What I'm saying is when you look at the UK or you look at the US, everybody is going to have to answer a question. And that is, given that demographics are destiny, what do you do when you are either just flooding your system with a bunch of people full stop that may or may not share your values? And then what do you do when you flood your system with a group of people that don't share your values and their birth rate is much higher than yours? This is the UK's problem. Now, we need to fact check what I'm about to say, but I'm pretty sure the following stat is correct. 40% of school-age children in the UK are Muslim. Now, if that's true, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that as older native, as they call them, British people die off, they're going to be replaced by Muslims. So it's like, that is what it is. And if that's what you want as a country, great, you got it. And the reason that I say in America, the reason that we've been able to get away with our unhinged immigration policy for as long as we did is we were importing Catholics. And so given that we have an undercurrent of Christianity, despite not being a theological state, it is very obvious to anybody paying attention that we are built on top of a Christian ethos. Even somebody like myself, who is not religious, I'm fully aware that I have imbibed a lot of Christian values. So when you import a bunch of people from a different country, different skin color, but they have the same value set, it doesn't create the problem. It's when you start importing people, they can be the same skin color. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is, what are they willing to fight and die for? And when you're both willing to fight and die for different things, you now have a problem. And so that's what we're watching play out in Europe.
That stat coming in from Gemini, it says that it's actually closer to 6.7%.
Okay.
The actual figures for Muslim share of the school population are closer to 8.1 in 2021, according to the Muslim Council of Britain. And the last UK census was 2021.
Okay, so I'll have to figure out what unhinged thing I came across that either was just an outright lie or I'm misremembering something, but this is why we fact check. So thank you for that.
Somebody in the comments asks, how long do you think it would take? Like, gut check, what do you think the timeline is for them? Because you said earlier that it's a matter of time.
That's a math question. I don't have the easy answer, but
until they become the majority, basically, that's when it's...
Round it to... You can run the math. Like if you ask Grok, ChatGPT, given the birth rate discrepancy in the UK, over what period of time will people of British descent become the minority? It'll give you an answer. Off the top of my head, I don't know. But it's not short. I mean, it's going to be 30, 50 years, something like that. Because you've got to have, one, you have to figure out what rate are you expecting more people to come into the country, at what are the birth rate differences, and then what are the death rates? And so that is, it'll be measured in decades. It's not like, this is, oh my God, it's going to happen in 5 years. That's not it. But if you don't decide on your immigration policy now, then at least with my value system, because I'm not for, we've got to get people that have come here legally, get them out. I don't like that. Like if you let people into your country, they uprooted, they moved there, like, hey, they're there. So I get that some people are going to feel differently, but not me.
Rough estimates based off current protections, given current trends, as reported by ONS and other demographers, and assuming similar migration and fertility rates. Many projections suggest that the share of white British people or people with only UK-born parents, and somebody increased it, so it messed me up. There it is. Depending on definition, will fall under 50% somewhere mid-21st century. So likely around 2060s.
Okay, so yeah, a little more than 30 years.
Yeah, 4 decades under these trajectories.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people are asking like if that number changes my opinion. Not at all. So this is a question of what do you want to be the trajectory of your country? If you are, hey, we will take in refugees from anywhere in the world. Anybody can come here. That's your right. People should run their country the way that they want to run their country. What I'm trying to get people to look at is that will have consequences. It's not what I want, but I don't believe that I should be a dictator anywhere. So everybody should vote the way that they want to vote. I want to see my value system continue to go on, as I imagine most people want to see their value system continue to move on. But if their value system is simply, hey, countries should have their borders wide open and they're looking at the consequences of that with their eyes wide open, great. But it feels like we are playing the suicidal empathy game where we're acting as if there are only first order consequences. There's no second and third order consequences. So that's where I'm like, okay, this just seems very weird. I'm not sure what logic people are tracking. So if I am wrong about the number, this was just me not running the math because my assumption was that it was going to take somewhere between 30 and 50 years. We just saw it's going to take roughly 35 to 40 years. So in terms of the rate at which I thought this was going to happen was bang on. The percent is off. I'm glad that we have updated percentages because there's no reason to be thinking from wrong facts. But I'm talking about the second and third order consequences, period.
I'm getting a couple questions. It's the same question over and over. What are their values? What are the immigrant values? Somebody said
it's going to be different for every immigrant. But if you're looking at, so let's be careful to differentiate between Muslim and Islamists. So if a Muslim comes in and they want to be secular, no beef with that. Great. You're part of a secular society. You're moving to another secular country. No problem. If you have an Islamist who they want Sharia law or even just want to enshrine religion in the government, now we've got a problem. So you can round Islamists to Sharia law. I am certainly not somebody that's going to be able to give you an intelligent breakdown of Sharia law. That's why my stance isn't pro or anti-Muslim, Islamist. My thing is, this is a question of a collision of values. If you've got your eyes wide open, you're like, yeah, we understand. And that's exactly how we want to move. Well, great. But what I'm saying with what's going on in the UK is that are people who feel alienated from a values perspective, that don't feel like they're being listened to. They took to the streets for a reason. They feel some type of way. Now, if you're mapping them to racism, I believe that you are misunderstanding the problem. I believe that the second people have different races but the same religion, boom, they get along instantly. They get along like a house on fire. They suddenly realize, like, even if they thought they were racist, they suddenly realize, wait, we love the same God. I'm way more into this person than the person who looks like me but hates my God. I'll take that bet a fucking 1,000 times out of 1,000. Somebody will have way more love, camaraderie, connection with somebody who shares their values, their religion, than they will and doesn't look like them, than they will over somebody who does look like them, but hates their God. Like, that's wild. Like, look back at history. How many Irish people had to kill other Irish people before you realize this is not about race? It's about values. It's about values, values, values.
Man.
All of human history, people kill people that look just like them. The French were killing the English. The English were killing the French. They're as white as can be.
Tom, I understand that, but you're assuming that these people have different values because you can't see the values.
The collision happens when you have different values. So it's not even like an assumption. It's like, what's the thing that's access to resources or values? Those are your options. So like Germans killed the shit out of a whole bunch of white Russians.
Again, I'm taking the religion, the race, and all that stuff out of here. But
I'm saying, so I see comments saying that I'm racist, and I'm like, people are going to be confused because they think I'm talking about race, and I'm not. I'm not even talking about race at a functional level. So when people start making this about race, I'm like, Jesus, I want to ram my head through a wall because I'm like, you're going to mess this up. If forget me, whatever. I am a small voice in a very large world. If people have this discussion at the level of race, they will mishandle the fundamental question that Europe is being asked to confront right now today, that America will be asked to confront moving forward. And that is, how do we determine who to let into the country? Do we make that determination, borders wide open? Do we make that determination based on you're good for business? Do we make that determination based on values? You're gonna have to answer that question, because values are the thing that hold the country together. In fact, the left and the right are heating up. I don't think that's about race. I think that's about people that have different values. So anyway, it is so easy for people to talk about race and not values.
Let's talk about it. So free speech has been a hot button issue, I would say, since before the election. Some people champion Elon Musk for saving free speech by buying Twitter, bringing back off quote unquote canceled people such as Nick Fuentes, such as Donald Trump, etc. Now there has been a shift in free speech, and let's take it from the beginning and we'll walk through this. So this is Pam Bondi speaking about how they're going to prosecute those that are speaking ill of Charlie Kirk's assassination.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech, and there is no place.
You can pause it there. That just isn't true. So from a legal framework, that isn't true. And I don't understand anybody's impulse that's like, look, you can say anything you want except for things I disagree with. It's like the very point of free speech is for people to be able to say the things that you find most despicable, as long as they're within the bounds of what the Supreme Court has already ruled on, which the easy one to talk about is incitement to violence. So I don't understand. Do we have the Charlie Kirk one? Okay, let her finish, but I want to pull that up because it was like, for all these people to be saying this in Charlie's name, and then Charlie has spoken very directly about this exact thing. It's wild.
Now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech, and then there's...
Yep. So that's her. And then here is the tweet from Charlie Kirk himself. Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, this is the nice thing about social media is even posthumously, people can go find out what your thoughts were on a subject. So yeah, I agree. I am very saddened to see this erode. If you look at the UK, you get a glimpse of what it looks like when you don't have freedom of speech. The UK arrests 30 people a day for things that they say online.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Crazy.
Dude, that is nuts. That's tyranny. Like, I don't understand why people want that. So I believe people should have the right to say obviously you can't defame people. You can't incite to violence. Those are great. I love that I'm not a free speech absolutist. I walk up close to the line, and that means that people have to be able to say things that I despise. So I don't understand when people have the impulse. It is not effective to have the impulse to want to shut people down because that tool will be used against you. Instead, go debate. This is what makes Charlie's death so tragic, is he was the guy that was willing to roll up anywhere and debate people. Mm-hmm. And seeing how many hours this guy has of like just walking people through his takes. Again, not all of his takes were good by my estimation. But you can't deny that he was willing to roll up, let anybody walk to the microphone. He would say, whoever disagrees with me, come to the front. He didn't want people glazing him. So it's like, who are the people that disagree? Mm-hmm. Let's have a conversation. Now you can say that, look, Charlie goes to universities, and so you're going to find people that are less able to argue and blah, blah, blah. But nonetheless, he was going into the public square and saying, hey, come debate me on any topic you want. Try to convince me. I'll try to convince you. And so that to me is the right response. When somebody says something that you hate, when somebody says something that you think is despicable. So, hey, let's talk about both Destiny and Elon. I think their interactions with each other are ridiculous. I think that Destiny has said things completely unhinged in his most recent Piers Morgan thing. It's not the first time Destiny has said shit that's unhinged, but I would rather have a conversation about, okay, why, what? Like, how is that advancing your cause? Now, he has an argument for it. I don't agree with it, but he's got an argument. So you can end up debating that thing rather than saying like he should be canceled, kick him off. I don't want to hear him say that. I think Elon outright called for his arrest, if I'm not mistaken. Now, there is an argument to be made that he called for direct violence against Republicans. And hey, by all means, let a court of law look at it,
he didn't
adjudicate
call for
it.
direct violence. Though.
Perfect. Then
people
the
are taking
court
that
of
one
law
clip
will
out
find
of
that,
context.
and they'll be like, hey, no worries. But that, like, I'm saying, let the already established laws handle incitement to violence, and then we can get a ruling on that. And if people think that's like the lightning rod issue that they want to see debated, then it will go all the way to the Supreme Court, and we'll see, like, what's the new ruling. But this, as long as we're making blanket policies and we say, okay, we've got incitement to violence is not good. We have a case where people are saying this either is or is not incitement to violence, and then what do we want to see? But the like overwhelming impulse that people seem to have to want to shut people down the instant that they say something they don't agree with is wild. And have you seen Matt Taibbi talk about Elon? I was completely unaware of this until yesterday. So Matt Taibbi, who I thought was like bros with Elon, is like, Elon has a weird relationship with free speech. And that was, did he say that's why I couldn't work on X exclusively? He certainly left me with that impression. It's maybe I misread. I want to leave that space. But I was shocked to hear that. He was like, oh, no. Elon for sure shadow bans people on X. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, when people were coming at him for faking his gamer stats, he didn't like that. So
yeah, but I didn't think he was shadow banning them because I thought it's my understanding that he makes the algorithm completely transparent. So I don't know if he's got an algorithm plus some like anorak tools, deep cut reference for anybody that gets that. I already love you. So I don't know if he's got like that set of anorak tools, or if he's just so convinced nobody's going to go through the algorithm. I don't know. That one seems impossible, but that makes me very sad. But hey, it is what it is. I still think he is the greatest entrepreneur literally ever to do it. So don't be surprised when I champion his entrepreneurial things, but his take on free speech, if what Matt Taibbi is saying is correct, and then with what I have seen with my own eyes about calling the left radical leftists, I don't want to overgeneralize what he said as evil. Unwise. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur with a dozen business ideas, but you're paralyzed because you don't know which one will actually make money, I can help you solve this problem in 30 minutes. The problem isn't that you don't have good ideas. I bet you have too many good ideas, and that's the problem. You can't make a decision. If you haven't tried my free Zero to Launch GPT yet, you are missing out. We've gotten incredible feedback from people who are finally launching their businesses using this tool. Kyle B, for instance, said it best when he said, "This custom GPT is lighting a fire in me." He went from not knowing how to maintain momentum to implementing a 10-week action plan that was so effective, he was having a hard time convincing himself to leave his workspace at the end of the day because he was getting so much done. This free custom GPT is personally trained on my proven framework. It will help you analyze the market and create an exact action plan to launch in just 30 minutes. Stop overthinking and start taking the steps to launch right now today. Click the link in the show notes to access the free Zero to Founder Launch GPT right now.
As of right now, after Charlie Kirk's assassination, we give our empathy to Erica Kirk and his 2 young children. His legacy is being debated right now. Destiny is probably the most vocal on the left that's talking about it. There's memes and TikToks of people dancing on the grave. I'm not saying that. Let's keep it professional. Let's keep it courteous. Let's keep it respectful, right? I want to first jump into the destiny that the conservatives need to be afraid of getting killed.
Yeah, this is wild.
Because I'm hearing a lot of people on the left say, well, wait, that wasn't the context in which he was saying it. And you know where I'm going with that next, because your boy Charlie said some things, and I'm hearing a bunch of people on the right saying, well, that's not the context in which he meant it. So let's talk about context now. So let's jump into destinies first.
There it is.
Cox has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry, excuse me, when?
Yesterday, he said that.
No. When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college? Not
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know.
What you just said
I do know
true.
the very reasonable sounding governor of Utah has made it clear that the
he hasn't made it
you may
clear.
not want
he
to
said
hear
this is
this.
an ongoing investigation.
You may not want to hear it,
it,
Destiny. But the reality is, the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just ask you.
That's just not true.
Let me just ask
no
you.
way to deal with it.
Okay,
you're living in a
accusing the
delusional
governor
fantasy.
of lying.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative. But
with the information that we have now, there's no way, in my opinion, to believe that this guy wasn't radicalized by trans ideology.
Because he's dating a trans person, he's radicalized by
He's
trans
in a
ideology.
relationship with a trans person.
So that means he kills people?
He said, the only thing I care about is protecting you. He put memes on the bullets about trans ideology. So I'm, what? He also, can we not skip over? He fucking murdered Charlie Kirk. It's like the biggest glowing red, like, hey, tell me you've been radicalized without telling me you've been radicalized. He shot somebody. So he shot somebody specifically saying, this guy's too hateful, I have to kill him. Okay. So which element of hate do you think sparked that?
I mean, Charlie Kirk had a list, so I don't know which. I don't know how to answer that.
Like this is like when you and I were talking before we started rolling camera, and I said if I try to map your worldview and I leave out race, I'm always going to be confused. And this to me is like, if you leave out the role of trans ideology, you're going to be confused by this kid's behavior. Like,
what does that term even mean? Trans ideology?
That he believes that. Now I'm extrapolating based on the things that he's put. But what I mean when I say
that's coming a talking point.
Is,
you know,
perfect. Yeah. Is that words are violence against that community. that they are at risk of erasure via things like misgendering, denying that they exist, saying that it's a mental illness, all of that stuff. And so if you are doing those things, you are literally putting their lives at risk. So the act of saying those things warrants a physically violent response. That, when I say radical trans ideology, let me be very clear. Radical trans ideology, that's what I'm talking about. Now, when I go, what just happened? Somebody who was dating a trans person killed somebody literally who's known for talking about trans issues and has said that they think this person's hate has just reached a level where they have to do something about it, then I'm like, oh yeah, that all makes sense. If I try to map it to something else, it becomes far more confusing. Now, if his roommate is black and he's like convinced that Charlie Kirk is racist, then okay, then I could buy it. But as far as I know, he's not. I don't know that, so I suppose. But I haven't heard anybody talk about that, so I'm guessing that's not the case. So again, it's possible. That's why I say the information that we have now, Occam's razor, is like, that's the read. If over time more information comes out and it's like, no, it wasn't that at all, it was totally something else, the tweets were faked, or that the hatred really was something else, and the guy just comes out and tells us, no, that's totally coincident. I hated him for this. Okay, cool. Then I'll be like, okay, this is the thing that he hated him for. But the simplest explanation is usually the right one.
Turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk. Would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So you won't condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk until Donald...
So this is, Destiny's talked about not this exact thing before, but the idea that I'm going to keep being unhinged until high people, doesn't always say the president, but like influencers on the right either acknowledge January 6th or whatever. And that one goes back to the kayfabe, the WWE, the like, I'm going to be theatrical until other people stop being theatrical is what I hear him saying. And I'm just, that doesn't make any sense to me. Not wanting to lead with what's the outcome that I want. So if the outcome that he wants is to actually turn down the temperature, then he would lead by turning down the temperature. So you can, in my opinion, rule out that he actually wants to turn down the temperature.
That Destiny actually wants to turn on the
Correct.
temperature. I feel like he's a counterpuncher. So if he turns down the temperature and everybody turns down this temperature, but except one party's allowed to go to turn it up to 10, that his point, his literal next statement is, I can't give that lineup because other people aren't giving that lineup. So his actions would make sense if his actual motive is to punish, what you're calling counterpunching, or at least how I interpret counterpunching. So they're doing it. I'm going to do it back. I'm going to do it just as hard. But you don't realize we're spending more time talking about Destiny's reaction than what Donald Trump said on the day of Charlie Kirk's death? Before he even knew that the guy was trans, before he even knew what the guy looked like, before he even knew what happened. We did talk about it last time. I'm happy to talk about it again. But I'll be not equally condemning because I don't think that Trump came off as unhinged as Destiny's coming off. Got it. Okay. But if Trump were doubling down on his rhetoric, like, I'm going to keep talking like this until the left calms down, then I'm going to be like, okay, that's stupid. Now, if anybody feels like I'm saying the right has handled this well, wow, I'd be very surprised by that. We spent the first, 30 minutes of the live today with me talking about the right is being just as like unself-aware as the left. This is wild. So yeah, that to me is certainly not what I'm saying. So I'm happy if you play me a clip of Trump, I'm happy to talk about Trump. But you play me a clip of Destiny, I'm going to talk about Destiny. Yeah. I was just using Destiny's point to explain it. So we could jump in. But Destiny's point from where I'm sitting goes like this. I'm not going to turn the temperature down until they turn the temperature down first. That to me says he's not somebody who's actually interested in turning the temperature down, or he believes the only effective strategy with his passions and talents, the only way to actually get the temperature turned down is first to turn it up to make everybody so hot and uncomfortable that finally we'll turn everything down. Which is why he's saying they need to be afraid. Do we play the part of the clip where he actually said? It's coming up. Okay, play this because people need to hear it out of his mouth first.
Donald Trump says something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why
tell
would you
his
expect
side
anybody,
to calm down?
Destiny?
You can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why can't
Can
Trump
you
go
answer
on TV
this
and say,
question?
all of us should be less violent?
Why do you
can't
think
Trump say that?
Why do you
Why
think
is your behavior contingent on Donald Trump?
Insane right now.
Why do you think?
Your
No, let me
behavior
ask a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Let me
Why
ask
is
a
that?
question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the opposing political party.
Destiny. Let me
You
just.
have a huge audience of young men who
I'm a
listen to
YouTuber
everything you have to
who
say.
has more
So
young
when
men
you,
following
it
him.
doesn't
Who
matter.
has
You have a
more young-
huge
it doesn't
audience,
matter.
and because
This
of
is
the fact that
world
you have a
I'm
huge
living in,
audience,
and
you
your
have
brain
a
has been
responsibility
broken by
to
online
not turn.
rhetoric.
No,
And
it
your
hasn't.
brain
It
has
hasn't been
been
broken.
destroyed
I actually care
because
about the
people
country
bully you
and
on
want to bring
Twitter.
people together.
If
You do
then
the
you should tell
opposite.
Donald
You
Trump to tell
represent the
people
worst
to
of us,
be
Destiny.
less.
Out the crime statistics?
Not exactly like.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay, I'm done.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that way they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature.
Yeah.
Is that a call for violence?
Probably not. If he had said what may be a more accurate thing that he meant, apparently people on the right need to go all the way to being afraid of dying before they'll turn down the temperature. If that's what he meant, okay, fair enough. I can see an interpretation where that's actually what he was trying to say. But yikesies, the way that he actually said it leaves way too much room for interpretation. And I try to be generous here because I know I'm going to say something that people are going to play back and I'm going to be like, oh God, that I will hate the way that I framed it and be like, no, that's not what I meant. So on that, I'm sensitive to that. But I do think that Destiny constitutionally does try to dial things up to 11 to get a reaction, to get people to pay attention. So that's where I think he's put himself in a pretty rough position.
Let's say hypothetically, right? Destiny gets popped tomorrow.
Can we define popped?
Killed.
Okay.
Shot in the neck in front of everybody.
Uh-huh.
Do you think the reaction that people have had to Charlie Kirk would be equal and proportionate to the reaction that they would have if Destiny were killed?
On the right?
In general.
Probably.
There'll be people laughing, dancing, retweeting.
Yes.
There'll be people saying this is very serious. We need to turn down the temperature.
Yes, for sure. This is where I'm like, I don't think anybody is innocent. I think that everybody's displaying human behavior. People dehumanize the other side. This is what we do when we need to kill the other village that's trying to come in and steal our women and steal our resources. We've got to see them as other. We've got to be able to murder them and spill their guts. And I really, really like Mike Benz a lot. And I think that he's doing a great service to this country. But his response to when Charlie Kirk was killed, he said, I want them, the people that did this, might have been the way he said it, but I want them to see what their insides look like. Like, it was graphic. This was somebody who wanted unspeakably bad things to happen to that person. That's the human response. Like, we go to a place, like if you did something to my wife, I'd be unhinged. Dude, unhinged. You couldn't kill that person painfully enough if they murdered my wife. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. And I shouldn't be able to make policy. But in that moment, do I know myself well enough to know, yep, I would be an unhinged lunatic? Yes, I would be an unhinged lunatic. So we have to put ourselves in a position where we understand this is what the very flawed human mind is like, and be very careful. So people would cheer and celebrate if Destiny died, and they would feel justified. And it's the fact that they would feel justified that makes me go, geez, we're going to be in this loop forever. And this is why when countries break bad, they're off the rails for 100 years.
In the New Testament, Jesus warns us about being hypocrites. And I remember being in like church as a wee little boy, and my 11th-year-old mind was like, why did he use hypocrites? He should have used bigot or racist or bad person or murderer. But he always uses hypocrite. Let us not be a hypocrite like them. And I'm starting to realize the older I get that really is the true sin. Like that's the true thing. It's when I feel a type of way, I have all these rules and rules of engagement, and this is how you're supposed to act. But when I do something hurtful to you, I don't care about that. You'll be okay. You'll get over it. It's because you deserve it. It's justified. You're a criminal. You're a leftist. You're a trans. You're all these other, and that's why you die. But then when somebody happens on your side and they say the same thing, it becomes that. So I just want everybody to just be sober for 2 seconds. You can call me whatever you want to call me in the chat, but before you type, just for 2 seconds, just think, if Destiny died and people on my side were dancing on his grave and lawmakers were calling for eradication of free speech, and there were clips and videos and all these types of things, how would I feel? How would I internalize that? What would I do next? And I think that thought exercise would help a lot of us in this moment. Ipso facto, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox.
It was a good soapbox. I support every word. Drew for president. I support every word, Drew. Yeah, facts. Ipso facto.
Now, Destiny has been canceled from Twitch. Those that follow Destiny know that he hasn't streamed on Twitch in like years.
Really?
Yeah, he's been on YouTube and Kick. So like him kind of retweeting this is just as bad as his like brain cancer because of how stupid you guys are tweet.
Got it. So he's completely trolling.
This was another like one of those inversion tweets.
Hilarious.
But even going forward to it, there is Elon Musk is calling for him to be a resonate. There are all these calls to action to YouTubers. Is that a level of accountability that maybe we, like, because we're in this ecosystem as well, should people be more accountable for what they said?
I would much rather see people vote at the individual level rather than us doing it at a systems level. I don't want to see YouTube boot them off because I know the second we say that we don't like what Destiny said, somebody's gonna say they don't like what I said. So no, but if people don't want to watch him, yeah, fair enough. Don't watch him. But if everybody says, I don't want to watch this guy, then he does not get watched. Now, the real thing that we have to contend with is we all know there are going to be people that do want to watch him. There are going to be people that want to watch Nick Fuentes. There are going to be people that want to watch us. Hey. So that to me is the thing that we have to contend with is it matters that people are able to put their voice out into the world. Free speech matters. And in a world where we have social media, we're no longer able to control the narrative, the elites are no longer able to control the narrative, then that has a consequence in society. And I think a large part of what we're grappling with right now is that reality. This really matters. Letting people talk on platforms really matters. And so now this is akin to me to the dumb voter problem. You can learn everything you need to know about a person's worldview by asking them one simple question. People that you think are literally morons, like they can't function. Not that you're being flippant, that you think this person is actually too stupid to parse through this information. Should they be allowed to vote, yes or no? And are you prepared to live in a world where you may get outnumbered by people that you think are morons and thus have to live in their country? And I'm saying the answer for me is yes, because I know that humans tend towards tyranny. The second you allow me to decide who's too dumb to think through these problems, we already have a problem. So I'm perfectly willing to live in a world where you start getting black pillars, grapers, red pillars, all this, because yeah, everybody can get on a mic and say what they want. And I'm perfectly willing to live in a world where radical trans ideology, radical Islamists, they're going to get their voice. Yep. And I've got to beat their ideas. I've got to outperform them. I am perfectly willing to live in the outcome of that world. The world that I'm not perfectly willing to live in the outcome of is one where we give the power to the governments, to the platforms, whatever, where they're like, nope, you don't get to speak. That's the part that I don't like.
Yeah.
So now, look, it gets very complicated when you get into the platforms and the private companies and all that. And yes, that's a debate worthy of having, but it's a totally separate thing. For now, I just want people to focus on what I'm trying to get across, which is, can you trust your own ideology enough that you want arbiters, like human beings, to be able to say no to that person, yes, instead of institutions? I'm saying the institutions should create freedom of expression. Free speech should be enshrined around the globe. Now, I don't feel that I should be able to force that to happen. I've been very clear on that point. But like that, I look at that and I say, yeah, if you want a moral system, you have to be able to let people say things. I'm perfectly comfortable with America's limitations on that, but you have to be able to let people speak freely. They're not doing it in the UK. You're living in the only country right now, and I'm saying this to Drew, you're living in the only country right now that has enshrined freedom of speech in their constitution. So other places have it sort of by culture, but not by enshrinement. And that one is worth fighting for.
All right, heading over into economics news. The Fed is set to announce their first rate cut in 9 months as Trump continues to push for influence. The Fed decision is supposed to come out at 11 a.m. PST, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but Polymarket is in the high 90% that they're going to announce at least a 25% basis.
What time is it being announced?
2 p.m. East Coast, 11 a.m. Our time.
Let's go.
Yeah. I asked again, stock market just hit an all-time high. It surpassed 6,660 for the first time. Is this Fed cut going to help us?
Well, so we need to define help us. Remember, we are in fiscal dominance, which means no matter what the Fed tries to do with the rate, it's ultimately not going to matter. You'll get like these temporary blips, but because the stock market, asset values in general are simply a measure of sentiment in the short term. So once you understand it's just a measure of sentiment, it's like, well, a rate cut is going to make people feel some type of way. Now, it may not make them feel the way that you're expecting because of like broader things that they're worried about, but a rate cut is going to trigger a response. So, and if it triggered no response, that would be a response that people would interpret and be like, whoa, wait a second. What does that mean? Does that mean that people don't have faith in the economy? Which, yes, P.S., by the way, if you lower rates and people are like, no, then that's people going, there's a bigger systemic problem and we're not responding to the rate cut. That would be a data point unto itself. Okay, so is this good for us? We're in fiscal dominance. Fiscal dominance means that this is a PSA, fiscal dominance is fiscal means government. So governmental spending. In colloquial terms, people have started using fiscal just to mean monetary. It means government spending. So when we say fiscal dominance, we mean government spending dominance. Government spending controls the economy. So every alarm bell you have should go off when the government spending controls the economy. That is very bad because if you're going to have a Fed, which you probably shouldn't, but if you're going to have a Fed, you want that Fed to be able to do the things that the Fed is there to do because the Fed creates problems. If it can't also do good things, which right now, prior to fiscal dominance, it could, now you've got all the bad and none of the good. So we're in a situation now where we have all the bad and none of the good. Bad times. So what will happen is you'll get a momentary reduction in the cost of a loan. Trump will immediately move to refinance the debt, which is exactly what he should do. So it will help us there. It will help alleviate some of the debt burden. But the problem is if you keep deficit spending, if you keep adding $1 trillion to the debt, like he may, through the new rates, be able to change. You add $1 trillion instead of every 100 days, maybe it's every 70 days or 75 days. 130 days, 135 days, something like that. That's still catastrophic. So it's better than nothing, but we're going to keep deficit spending. We're going to keep running up that tally. It's going to keep being a problem. It's already so out of control. Nobody's talking about moving that number backwards. So we're just talking about, can we slow the rate that we increase it? Right now, we're at 122% debt to GDP. You've got to get that number down, 90s, 80s, 70s. Like you got to be pushing it down. It would take 10 years of sustained, like 8% growth, 10 years of sustained 8%, like real growth. To get you to the point where you're in the 90s of debt to GDP. So nobody's talking about that. That's not going to happen. So we're in a bad position, but it will create a momentary blip. Just as a reminder, please, everybody, you have to be in assets. If you don't own assets, I won't tell you what assets to own, like do your own research. I am not a financial advisor, yada, yada. But if you're not in intelligent assets, then you are being stolen from. Your purchasing power is going down. In the last 100 years, the US dollar has lost, I think this is literally correct, but it's certainly directionally correct, 95% of its value. Jeez. Lost 25% of its local value just in the last 5 years. So you can't save your way out of this, unfortunately. You have to gamble in the stock market.
I just asked AI, Gemini, has the U.S. ever had annual GDP growth rate of 8%?
Wait. Can I show that? Let's find out if I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
It was in the 70s. The bad news is that inflation was even higher. So the actual real rate was not 8%, not even close. In fact, I think it was negative. So this is
I didn't see the 70s one.
When was it?
I have World War II, 1942. The growth rate was 18.9%. Post-Depression recovery, so 1934, 1935, 1936, it was 10.8, 8.9,
but those are all
12.
super extenuating circumstances. The most recent time was in the 70s. By all means, look it up. But it was in the 70s, and we had, I can't remember if it was more. It might have been more than 8 years, but it in a real rate was not even close. So the punchline there is you would not change your debt to GDP ratio.
Yeah, I think it incorporated inflation already because it says this decade was marked by stagflation, a period of high inflation and slow growth.
Yeah,
and
but it
GDP
did just
rates.
from a true GDP growth rate. It was a sustained period.
Yeah, we were in the 5s though, way better than the 3s.
We're in the 5s. What
in the 70s during that time, including inflation as well, like the
growth
total.
rate.
Yeah, the total raw number.
Got
it was in the 5s. Yeah. Cool. I don't know if we got anything going on, but that's all I got.
All right, everybody. Well over time today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be back on Friday. I hope to see you guys 6 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you for being here. As always, we love you bunches. Until next time, later. If you like this conversation, check out this episode to learn more. Charlie Kirk's assassin has been apprehended, and I think there are going to be a lot of questions about his political affiliation. His assassination is also proving to be a ghoulish Rorschach test that is bringing out weirdness on both sides of the aisle. The jobs report has come out.